I think a good architect can actually save more lives than a good doctor. Now, it's not a thing to provoke you. I actually believe in it. The reason is that a typical doctor comes in when you're very, very ill, very, very ill. And you are able to save a small section of people who come in gravely ill. In the developing world, we lose about 2 million children to diarrhea alone. And when a child comes with severe diarrhea to the hospital, you can give IV fluids, you can give antibiotics, you can give all these things, but it's bad news. It's really bad news. I will show you a slide. And these are the interventions to use diarrheal illnesses, which is being published by WHO. And the percentage reduction of diarrheal illnesses, you can see the most important is sanitation. So 36% of 2 million deaths can be prevented by one single intervention, which is sanitation. And that is not in my domain at all. That is very much in an architect's domain. What happens in diarrhea? Very simple. What you should be, when you eat, whatever you've eaten has been contaminated by somebody else's stool. Now, it seems like, how can that be? It's so ridiculous. But the bugs have come out in somebody else's stool, and somewhere down the line, the drinking water and the sanitation issues have mixed, and you get cholera, typhoid, and all kinds of terrible diseases by this simple problem. So we can send up satellites, we can be the IT kings of the world, but we haven't solved such a basic issue in our country. As a doctor, I don't even know what this means. But I've been told that never mind you trying to save lives, if you want to really save lives, become a sanitation expert. Just make sure drinking water and sewage water stay separate. And I say that's a no-brainer. And surprisingly, we just lose 2 million people, 2 million kids that is on this. So if this slide is not good enough to convince you, nothing is going to convince you that you guys can save more lives than I can save in my entire career. Moving on to road traffic accidents. I did my residency in Sion Hospital. Sion Hospital is situated in such a place that you have the Bombay-Pune, Bombay-Goa, the Western Express, Eastern Express, all merging together at Sion. The railway accidents are, they come from the Western Railway, Central Railway, Harbour Line, all merge at Sion. We have Koliwada on this side, we have Dharavi on the other side. So that's where we get all our violent injuries. So as a surgeon in training, you have a lot of injuries. That's what we look at. And I had one friend from JJ School of Architecture who introduced me to this book. I'm still very fascinated by the Newfort's architects' data, which I still have it in my library because I think that's one of the most amazing books that has been written. And his name was Aslam, and Aslam had his project on hospital design. And Aslam used to hang out with me in the hostel, and I used to be at work, he used to hang around with me, and he had this theory that good hospital design has something to do with the length of nurses' skirts. So he would go around pushing nurses' skirts. And I said, Aslam, I don't think I get this, but I need to spend hours telling me the relationship between this. So that's my architectural exposure to architects. Very concerned about the environment. And we had, so here he was at 3 a.m., all these body parts coming from all parts of Bombay, because Sion Hospital is the trauma hub of Bombay. And night after night, you have all kinds of body parts coming, railway accidents, road traffic accidents, and you're kind of, you kind of, after a while, you're just coping with that kind of injuries. And I remember one night at 3 a.m. Aslam was with me, and then one gentleman came who had fallen off from the train, and he had fallen off the tracks. The other train had gone over his legs, and he had been sawed off above the knees, and he was punch drunk. He gets wheeled. The trolley gets wheeled into the Sion Hospital trauma ward. I look at him, and he's obviously pretty unconscious of the fact. So he sits up on his trolley and looks down and says, "Matlab pai kutte re? Where are my legs?" So I nonchalantly put on my shoulder, "Relax, it's coming by the next train." Aslam was like, "You are the Satan. You can't be human. What do you mean by answering questions like that?" And we got into a huge fight at 4 a.m. in the morning. He says, night after night, I just get body parts. People falling off trains, people are having this. I'm just out here and I'm just having to manage. I mean, you can't expect me to get emotional about every body part that comes in. And I told him, it's all your fault. It's all your fault. And he said, how is it my fault? I said, the solution is not with docs. The solution is with architects. And lo and behold, 20 years down the line, all that happened was that the Bombay-Pune highway, which was a 2-lane highway where the oncoming traffic and both traffic were not separated. They just separated out, made a dual carriageway, and all the trauma vanished. The solution was not from us. Solution came from somewhere else altogether. So actually, the solution to a lot of health problems is not in health at all. It comes from somewhere else. And that's been proven over and over again. And if you see the history of the Nobel Prize in medicine, only 2 practicing doctors have got the Nobel Prize in medicine. So who's been getting the Nobel Prize in medicine? Everybody else. Because all advances in any field actually come from the crevice of other fields, which is why I said that this actually is a very good forum, because you will find ultrasound, for example. Ultrasound in medicine has transformed the face of medicine, the way we practice medicine. Ultrasound is not a medical invention at all. It came from aeronautical science. There was a guy sitting and working on propeller machines, and there was this strange sound coming which he couldn't figure out where it's coming from, and he figured that this is an ultrasound. So he came up with a machine called the ultrasound machine. Has got no applications in aeronautical medicine and in aeronautical science, no application, and it has transformed our field. Similarly, the CT scan machine came from a mathematician and a physicist who were sitting and trying to figure out something else altogether. And they came up with the CT scan machine. Very, very few uses in industry. It has transformed medicine forever. They got the Nobel Prize. So, whom am I looking at?